year roadmap is a rolling sort of thing. Now we also have, just as a quick backdrop message, we also have an institutional review and assessment committee now. We had one. We kind of sunsetted that in favor of some other methodologies for assessment, and now we've returned to that. And that group's reason for being is essentially twofold: that it would help the institutional units identify their objectives and goals and so on, and then it would also be part of harvesting those data from 6-month period to 6-month period and interpreting that data for the school. So, so there is a destination for the kind of stuff that we do. All that said, if you look at the objectives for this particular period of time are rather general. It's like we need to come up with specific things that we want to do. We need to really add flesh to the bones of this more specifically. That would be a great outcome for the next few meetings for us. And with that in mind, I gave you, again, some other minutes. If you look particularly at May's minutes, in May of 2010, we started to do this. In May of 2010, we said, you know what, if you look down the line a little bit, the committee will try to take on 3 or 4 goals and objectives over the next year. And we identified things like launching the new multicultural courses that Marina's been working on, supplying faculty, students, alumni, and Andre with diversity-oriented topics to pursue in their various domains of responsibility. In other words, there's diversity obligations in every class. There's 4 obligations in every class: Adlerian messages, current research, ethics-related messages, and diversity-related messages. That's kind of quietly become an expectation of every single class, that we are attentive to those things. And yet, a lot of instructors probably think, well, what does that mean for my class, So we thought maybe some kind of, at least in May of 2010, maybe we could facilitate that a little bit by coming up with a roster of topics that people could use to stimulate themselves. Continuing education every 2 months around diversity-oriented themes, therapy, supervision, teaching. We thought even maybe if we had the bully pulpit at some point, we push professional boards to adopt expectations for continuing education, diversity. And you know what, we said very, very generically facilitate the elimination of bias in these activities. But boy, I'm really sitting with a fairly generic agenda today. I was certainly going to say, if you guys had anything in particular you want to take on, great too. But I was thinking if we could start to get pretty serious about identifying a few things, and it doesn't have to be a neurotic exercise. It doesn't have to be, here's the 20 things we want to do. We got to do all 20. No, let's
I got one.
pick out a few things.
Yeah.
Before you say,
okay.
So is that an okay agenda?
That works for me.
Does that work? So you guys too?
And does that include then going over this and kind of just not
Yeah.
clarifying and all that? So we have sort of the structure of the haying, the
Yeah.
brainstorming that we do.
Yeah, I mean, this
Great.
is something that has got to gather more definition as we go here. It could happen somewhat today. It could happen because
It could even happen electronically.
It could happen. I was going to say, you could have because you submit things to me, or
Yeah.
and that we all get a look at, and it could happen as we enter into the next meeting too. So I don't want to bite off more than we can chew. But if you look at the objectives under goal 1, specific outreach, Mark is very specific. Identifying numerical objectives with regard to the people here. And then goal 2, we're talking about specific strategies for cultural competency, you know, that's kind of what I've jumped to already, but that's because I thought it was kind of interesting. But, you know, we can get really clear on these other things through any variety of strategies here electronically, like Annie said, and heading into the next meeting too. I'd be happy if we got, you know, more meat on the bones by maybe the end of the next meeting. Myself. So if this works, I'm just gonna listen to you guys and your ideas for how we can really home in on stuff. And I think we need to be circumspect. We can't be saying there's 20 things, even though there are 20 things.
Yeah.
There's like, here's the things we want to really concentrate on this year. So.
Well, to help that happen, should we brainstorm for a certain amount of time, like half an hour, and then start to go back and?
Yeah, because I have.
First we need to get ideas out.
Let's
Right.
let's brainstorm till about 10 after 9.
Okay.
We're only 20 minutes.
Well, I want to start because I think we're already late.
Are we late?
Yeah, you know, with some of these marketing goals, the word is out. I have had about 9 interviews for new students this week, and 7 of them, English was the second language. Hmong, Lao, Laotian, Hispanic, Korea, all coming here because the word's out that we enjoy working with people of color and we want to get them back into their.
What great feedback.
Oh, I know, it's just amazing. And some issues that some of the folks are having in getting into internships because of who they are and their color and language. And in a lot of cases, I've been working on, I guess I'm kind of saying if we're going to do this, we better have the equipment to do it with and the proper means to help these folks get to their goals because they seem to think we can do it because a lot of folks have done it already. So, I've been working on the student services plan, and I spoke to the president of the Student Association yesterday because one of the things I'd like to do is to develop a survey to find out student needs. And he suggested a survey to our 20% of diversity people with English as a second language, specifically what are your needs? And I said, is that not a good idea? And he said, stop with the politically correct and let's find out what we need to do. And
what subpopulation?
Yeah, right. But we don't want to make them feel separated. But we also need to know what they need. Dragon speech, is that an answer? The gal from Korea actually got her degree in China with her friend who's at McAllister. These are not stupid people by any means. No. They are struggling with English. And she spoke beautifully and she could understand me perfectly, but she said, I'm going to really struggle to write. She said it outright. So, you know, here we go with that whole thing. And then another wonderful young man coming from Brown, and sometimes the students from Brown can't write. They don't really push that there. They're going to struggle. But again, he's already working in forensics, in I don't know what the word is, helping people come out of prison and get back into society. I know there's a term for that.
Assimilation.
Yeah, I don't know. But most of these people are so sincere in doing something for their cultures to go back into their world. Another young woman who was born and raised here, who was Hmong, who just came out of St. Thomas with her undergrad psych degree, who wants to do something with her population, very well spoken. She'll write beautifully, but she was born and raised here. She just wants to go back. But it was an interesting week. Marty said to me, it's like the United Nations around here all of a sudden. I said, isn't that wonderful, you know? And it is, but we better, you know, put our money where our mouth is, I guess is what I'm saying. And I think this is the committee that we have to put some meat on the bones of what are we doing here. And if all these folks come to us because we're doing it, you know, then what? You know, kind of. And I think we made, you know, definitely made steps with the master's project allowing a presentation rather than the perfectly written word. But what else? You know, so that's, you know, this whole marketing piece. The marketing seems to be working word of mouth.
So
you know.
I mean, I've asked you to look at the student services necessary for this.
Right.
They're all doing the same.
Right, that's what we're doing.
And trying to, you know, again, put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a growing population. It's amazingly wonderful, you know, to hear what folks are saying.
Do you or Dan know of any colleges in the Twin Cities who are best practices on English as a second?
You know what, I think that the community colleges have their act together with regard to this.
intrastate.
The Minsky system, I think, is a place to go for some guidance.
Okay,
Mhm.
so some people are out ahead in terms of
Mhm.
providing.
Mhm. And I don't know, I mean, these folks all have undergrad degrees, so they're making it through an undergrad program and they're coming with their coursework in psychology. And so how are they presenting in these other programs so that they can get the degree? I'm sure they're not just walking through without something.
Let me throw something out there, just as a little bit of a effort to seek some feedback. And I'm going to just put this into a context, sort of an unvarnished context. I have probably said 1,000 times in the last few years, as offensive as it might be to some people, that I think the mental health field has done a horrible job of serving the whole community, and that graduate schools have done a horrible job of preparing people to serve the whole community, and that we haven't done a good job of bringing a diverse group of people representing the whole community to the professional ranks. So, that's what I've said. And I said, I said tongue in cheek to our faculty senate leaders, the two that I meet with regularly, Trish and Craig the other day, just tongue in cheek. But I said, I get the feeling sometimes that people tolerate some of the things I say about diversity, but don't necessarily embrace it, in terms of people being the faculty. And so, you know what, I guess I'm interested in you guys' thoughts about this, because in order to do these kinds of things, we need the faculty's full support. Not necessarily everybody at the same level of full support, but, I have somebody right now who's very angry with me, and on the heels of probably the most glowing Higher Learning Commission report that's ever been produced on our behalf, says, it's up to them to restore the credibility of the school and the standards of the school. And what they're talking about is
Our admissions
practices, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, that's the kind of, well, it's completely isolated, but the fact is, I mean, I don't know for sure. I mean, I need to know if we got faculty support on this kind of thing, because we are needing to get more ready for prime time, to the extent that you're establishing this level of interest in us. I honestly think it's an issue of the school's relevance down the line, that the community is becoming more diverse, ready or not, here we come. The fact is, we need to participate in that, maybe even help to lead the way.
You're absolutely right.
Well,
there are, when you think of the impact of the school, there's the walls, and then there's the climate, which is inside the walls, and that includes the student-to-student interaction. But the key part of that is faculty, student interaction, and the faculty, the learning that results in the classes. So in different places, in here, for instance, I made notes about steps that need to be taken, could be taken to, just profile, to begin to move people into dialogue, to move people forward in their understanding and knowledge of the basics, and then of the complexities, and then of the controversies that are within this. And then parallel with all that is we need to provide faculty who need it, because not all do need it, but some do. How to think about what are diversity resources, and how might I put diversity themes or issues or topics or discussions or activities, macro to micro, into my course. It's sort of a diversity coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think all that said is not meant to sound like a tale of woe, because we made tremendous strides. Tom, I have to say, I am so delighted that you're on this diversity committee now as an opinion leader, as one of the founders. That's a really important symbolic thing to me. And I mean, we're making a lot of progress. It's just that, we have all these students coming in who expect something of us.
And when I listened to Tom do his piece in Grad School 101 about the early days of Adler, I've been thinking a lot about this. I have a dual reaction, because there's lots of African American and young people sitting in the room now. And Adler had no diversity back then other than being Jewish and not being Jewish. You know, it was a religious thing that he came to this country for. But the early psychological movement didn't involve people of color yet, you know, and yet everybody in that room feels comfortable when you're done. So the Adler message must be such that it hits everybody. And I've often said, I can talk to Native American students and Hmong students, and you know, after a while they'll come and say, this is just like my religion. And I want to say, yeah, it's because it's just human, you know. So everybody responds to this level of Adlerian at its core.
Right. I think the two things, of course, mutual respect,
Mhm.
that's a big one.
Right.
And equality. I mean,
Right.
those principles are just, they're not just lip service. I mean, it's
Right.
an ethos. You know, I had the privilege of teaching at St. Mary's and St. Thomas, and every school has an ethos, it has an atmosphere. And the simplest way that I talk about it is students at Adler pick up after themselves.
Yeah.
As social interest, you know.
Yeah.
Other
What a
schools,
funny
the
but
janitors do it.
Perfect
You know.
example.
Yeah.
It's a simple little thing, but it's an example of how the philosophy is more than lip service.
But what I think too, that depth of basic Adlerian that you can get out to those people initially is not there with all the faculty.
Huh.
There are some faculty that are afraid of diverse people. I've heard it. They grew up in this little shell somewhere, you know, where it's somebody's different. And they're not over it yet. And the clientele is like that. The clientele has slightly issues of, you know, ADHD or whatever it might be, but it's not diversity. You know, and I don't mean anybody's bad, and I don't mean anybody's offensive. It's
No.
just unlearned.
Well, it's not that people are bad, they're just ignorant and inexperienced.
Right. Right.
At the deepest level, all human people and communities have a perception of our kind and not our kind.
Right.
And I think at a deep level, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Our kind and not our kind. These are our kind, these are not our kind.
Mhm.
And I think to some extent we're trying to expand our sense of who's our kind.
Mhm.
And just in terms of some of the issues that were kicked up by that essay that I sent around yesterday, I'm getting feedback from faculty members.
Mhm.
And you know, there's one of the perspectives is we need to differentiate ourselves, or we need to be everything for everybody. Someplace in there we've got to figure out where the Adler Graduate School and our philosophy of diversity, you know, are we distinctive or are we not? And if we're distinctive, then some things fit and some things don't. So I think there's a lot in there that we have to kind of talk about and finesse to get a clearer sense of what makes the Adler Graduate School distinctive, and if our diversity means there's no distinctiveness, if we, you know, if everything is like everything else, then nothing means anything.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
reminding me of the balance that needs to be struck in between we all share a common humanity, and at the same time we have
Yes.
differences.
Right.
Mhm.
And we can vilify those differences, or you can say those differences are exotic, or there's a much better space in between, which is those differences are interesting
Yeah.
and important to know. But another place, besides what you said, where faculty or anybody
Right.
stop out is like going overboard and we're all the same. Which
Yeah.
means like we don't ever mention anything
Right.
about any differences. So if in
Yeah.
class there are no readings, there's no content in a lecture or discussion, there's no activity
Mhm.
done, there's no DVDs used that in any way illuminate those differences as useful and important,
Right.
but just kind of pretend everybody's the
Right.
same,
Right.
then we also are not doing as well as we might do. And that's another place where people stop out, where faculty stop out, where human beings stop out.
Mhm.
Because we're all kind of the same. I have sensitivities, I'm alert, I'm interested. We're all kind of the same, because I don't know what to say yet.
Mhm.
And give that a label.
Mhm.
That is what white people say,
Mhm.
Mhm.
because people of color aren't always out in the front saying
Right.
we're all the same.
Right.
Actually, people of color typically are saying
Mhm.
there we have a lot of commonalities, but there's some pieces that make me unique and special.
That's right.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, it's important to put that label on it too,
Mhm.
that it is, this social construct of race plays a role in that as well, and how people talk.
Mhm.
And, for the most part, our instructors, they have their experience, most of whom are white. And so a lot of them kind of end up in that track, whether it's conscious or unconscious,
It's comfortable.
because it's comfortable.
Yeah, it's not so much conscious, it's just the comfort
Well,
level.
I think there's a lot of stuff that's unconscious. I mean, I think, for example, one of the pink elephants in the middle of the room that you make me think of, Tom, when you talk about figuring out what distinguishes us is the issue of standards. And a lot of people, I think, I mean, I don't know this any more than anybody knows anything. It's just what I think. I think that a lot of people equate diversity with dumbing things down. Just to be blunt. And I think people equate diversity with diluting a product. And so I'm aware that the important parallel conversation here is what distinguishes us as it concerns our standards. Now, I think Marina has executed a perfect example of how you can have high standards and accommodate a really diverse set of needs. And I'm not talking just about pigment here. When she accepted my invitation to sort of revisit the master's project, what she did is she assembled a group of people. They collectively concluded, what I suppose was some prodding from me, that we don't have to do this capstone thing in lockstep. We can assess people's unique objectives, unique professional objectives, and we can give them a variety of ways to accommodate that capstone. So not everybody writes a 60-page research paper anymore. Some people write a program proposal in the area of weight loss that they want to take into the marketplace to help people. Some people do a DVD for parents of autistic children because they want to go into the marketplace and help those that's their passion. And it gets people through the eye of the needle.
Yeah, just interesting. My background is music, and one of the most exquisite pianists was Errol Garner, jazz pianist. I couldn't read music.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have graduated from music school,
Yeah.
but he was one of the most creative, expressive, innovative jazz pianists.
I'm not going to mention the name because I'm not sure they'd want me to say this, but I think they would say fine, say it because they say it all the time. But it almost brings tears to my eyes when I think about one of our absolutely brilliant instructors now being someone during my time here who previous president of the school said that person's never going to make it. We can't work with that person. And God love him, Herb intervened and said, no, we can. I've long ago given up any illusions about omniscience. And the point is, I think you can have high standards. And I say that only because I think that's the knee-jerk reaction when sometimes we talk about diversity, and prepare people for a service to a diverse community.
There's a social scientist who has conclusively answered the question why, in his words, why black people and white people don't achieve the same. He came up with this social theory. I mean, this theory that, and it sounds really weird, and I couldn't believe that I was hearing this from someone in our time. But he's measured brain size and the weight of brains, black and white. He's done circumferences of brains. He's done IQ tests across the world, and has determined that there is a standard deviation of IQ in different places. The lowest IQ is in Australia and in the interior of Africa. The higher IQs are obviously in the United States, in Great Britain. The highest is in China, locked in the geographic and the political boundaries of China, which I find very kind of interesting. And so he's talking about this, and he's saying that this is the answer is done. White people are more intelligent than black people, that the IQ scores show it, blah, 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 blah. So he goes through all of this stuff. And what the core question that he fails to answer is IQ for what?
What type of IQ?
So if I took someone from Great Britain or from the United States and put them in the interior of Africa, out in the middle of the desert, what good does their IQ do?
Yeah.
Can they survive in that? You know, and so whether we have the right standards or not, or whether we need to look at our Adlerian philosophy. What can we really do? What is it that people can actually do? So IQ doesn't, for an example, I equate the conversation of IQ with the conversations around credit scores. That the higher your credit score, the better person you are. But Bernie Madoff had an excellent credit score, right?
Good analogy.
Denny Hecker had an excellent credit score. Tom Petty, all these folks had these great numbers, but their personal integrity was horrible. And so, for those people who want to drive that conversation about standards and blah blah blah, standards for what?
Exactly.
So what's the
One of the exciting things of standards and outcomes, I think, really is that we can write standards and outcomes that get to the level of sophisticated expertise and application in a diverse world. And so that's very different than like be a good, decent marriage and family therapist. But really specifically, what does that mean?
Well, Annie, what I'm more and more convinced, very candidly, that we need to go down the road of figuring out under what circumstances we can do There's got to be some set of circumstances where that's a legitimate way to
We did orals early on.
Well,
Oral exams.
no, we
Oral exams at the end. Or you're talking
we
about
still
for
do.
classes?
Yeah.
We still do. I'm talking about examining under what circumstances. And I'm not here to make any pronouncements, but under what circumstances we can justify that from certain classes.
And Dan's heard me tell this story before. My oldest son, severely learning disabled. In his early years before the schools did too much about it. Can't read today. Real estate agent. Went to a school called Quinnipiac in Connecticut. 4 kids with disabilities, and actually Ed McMahon is the hugest contributor of this place. It now has a law school, everything else. Did an entire degree. One of his teachers was the guy who thought of the ATM machine. Okay, it's just really an interesting place. Got a degree in international finance and banking. Orally. And he's a successful realtor. And the kid still struggles reading a magazine.
Well, one of my friends in the field that has been at the front lines for a long, long time, Fred Easter from the City Inc. A guy who, by the way, was an administrator at Carleton College, and he decided, I'm going to cash in my chips and go into the inner city. He says, my security guard does counseling. Well, to me, there's a subtext there. Why is your security guard doing counseling? Well, maybe because I don't have enough, people who my clients can relate to, who've been trained by your field, Dan, to do these good things. I just think we need to. I'm preaching to the choir.
But
So discuss the performance assessment in oral.
I want to introduce another perspective here. We have to be more comfortable than we are about who we exclude. We don't want to be excluding.
Right.
But if everybody wins and everybody gets a prize,
Mm.
then it's
Right.
phony baloney.
Right.
So we've gotta be able to say, we don't believe that you are the right kind of a candidate for our program.
Mhm.
And I don't know how, whose job is that? Is that you when they come in to review? Or is it after they've taken 2 classes,
Right.
Or both.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
excellent.
the files are reviewed by department heads, not just me. So school counseling, Chris looks at, our therapy, Greg looks at, Roger looks at. But,
Looks at, that's a piece of paper?
well, here's
Where
how
you've
it
got
works.
some
I do an interview.
Okay.
Normally, if a person does have that 3.0 and a psych background related field, social work, something, we're pretty much comfortable, okay? One of the things that is a little upsetting sometimes for me is that if it's St. Olaf or St. Thomas or one of these other schools that are way up here in people's minds and they come in with a 2.8, a lot of the reviewers will say fine. Where if it's Brown or
Grade inflation kind of thing.
yeah,
Okay.
or if it's Brown or Metro State, well, we better look at that one.
Yeah.
No, I
So
don't think it's a
there's
great
no-
inflation thing, Tom.
there's
It's, okay, there's the big leagues in undergraduate education and there's the minor leagues.
Right.
And if it's the big leagues, then we're willing to take some more risks because obviously they made it to the big leagues. Than if they had let's say, exactly the same
Right.
academic profile in the minor leagues. And there's some, let's face it, there's some profiling that probably makes sense at times, when it comes to, okay, if you got a 2.8 at Carleton, that's different than a 2.8 maybe at Brown, but anyway, that's what you're talking about.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
I
So,
understand that.
but, in 20 years here, maybe 3 students that we let in turned out to be big mistakes, and we had to either ease them out for plagiarism or whatever, or mental illness that we couldn't handle. But normally, the pattern that I see, if the ones that come in and leave after 2 classes didn't like it. It wasn't their bag, it's not gonna work. The ones that stay, even if they leave for a while for family reasons or whatever, come back 5 years later and finish. It's kind of like we can't have a retention rate because people, it's very, very different. And then, there are times when I'm interviewing and the hair's going up on the back of my neck a little bit and I'm like, oh boy. So then I'll ask somebody to please talk, look, review, give it to
Yeah.
Dan.
Actually,
So-
what I think happens when faculty are here about a minute, which is a lot of times the case with adjunct faculty,
Mhm.
when they aren't here very often, what they don't know is sort of overwhelming. For example, we've got so many different methodologies now for monitoring students that I don't think faculty generally know about. I mean, there's a tighter admissions process because it includes several other people besides
Yeah.
we do these transcript reviews that focus on 4 things: academic progress, internship progress, and girls' progress, and then to some extent behavioral issues. And we do that term by term by term, and then we have so many people tripping in here talking with us in separate meetings on the heels of those kinds of forms. We just sent out a number of letters yesterday because we had a transcript review earlier in the week.
Mhm.
And we contact those folks and, let us know how you do. We want to talk with you. How many times this last week I said set up a meeting with that
Right.
person, we'll talk.
Right.
So what happens though is we more than
That's
like.
a story that's not well told to the rest of the faculty.
Right.
is
It's
what
not
I'm
well
saying.
told, yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that would ease some minds, but, and then of course, whenever there's any significant decision made about a student, it's very private, very, very private, but, and I think more often than not, if we nudge somebody out the door, it's because of character flaws.
Mm.
It's because of them not measuring up clinically, and so let's just take your credits and get you up to go with an learning studies, non-clinical learning studies master's degree. I mean, that kind of a thing. I would reiterate, I've kind of given up the illusion of omniscience because I think, our culture is about avoiding false negatives. We don't put people in jail, usually. And of course, that's something that the African American community would just do, unless there's a doggone good reason. We would much prefer to make an error on the side of not penalizing somebody who should be penalized than penalizing somebody who shouldn't. So as far as admissions, that's kind of what's always in my mind. I don't want to have a false negative. And I figured we deal with the false positives over time through these processes.
And the internship weeds out the people who aren't going to make it by starting them that early. It's always true. After 2 or 3 months in an internship site, I've had people come to me and say, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And either at that point, it's still early enough, they haven't wasted a whole lot of money because we start early, they can leave, or they just do a straight out learning studies degree, without the internship component.
Your
a
point is
couple more
well taken,
classes.
though,
Yeah.
that not everybody, we can't stand for something if we take the kumbaya attitude,
Yeah, right.
But I would frame my attitude, just as I said, Tom, that I try to avoid false negatives and hope that the system can deal with false positives, and that the system is tighter than it used to be. So.
Larry told me years ago when I started with admissions that 10% of the population of the school should be those under a 2.6 given a chance, because they make some of the best therapists. It was one of the things that I really respected him for, and he was right. He was right.
Well, yeah, and in the broader sense, I've talked to the didactic students that I work, interview. I haven't seen any data that correlates academic skill with healing power.
Yeah, I know.
We have this academic rigor to get licensed, but there's no evidence that the best healers are the best academics, or that the worst healers,
Exactly.
are poor academics. They're often flipped.
Yeah.
And I think it's very telling that the APA was it last year or the year before, they pulled back their most recent standards because there were misspellings, there were incorrect.
Oh, the APA standards?
The APA standards. They pulled back their own standards
Yeah.
because someone had messed up and they weren't, in some ways
They weren't
legitimate.
APA format.
So they weren't APA format. So even in that, those are just anecdotal pieces that we should always keep in mind. So.
And the other piece too, that it's such a changing learning style. I just read somewhere that I don't know which state is pulling out cursive. They're not going to teach cursive.
Yeah, I just heard that.
Why
too.
bother? Because the kids are on the computers. So why make them
Or
learn
texting with their thumbs.
Yeah, and really and truly, is anybody going to write in 20 years? And then there's the internet. The whole world is there for people to understand. And even in that poor center of Africa, they know now what's going on in the rest of the world. So nothing is quiet anymore. Nothing is kept back. And so we better start. It just.
Without developing this maybe a lot, because we're brainstorming, but it's true that the internship plays such a vital role in people's learning here, and in looking at non-traditional candidates, it may well be, and I don't even know if we do this now, to look at what kinds of jobs and part-time jobs, maybe volunteering, and projects that they take in leadership
That's
for.
a
So
big.
that's a way to catch people's non-bookish skills.
And to document their social interests.
Right, exactly. Because we've got, when I do a resume and cover letter with most folks who are about to merge out to internships, because it has to look different than the one they got a job with. It's a little different. And you have the folks who can take community experiences, one line, and fill 2 pages with, donating at a food shelf or teaching kindergarten reading skills, And then you have some folks who can't think of one thing they've ever done not for a salary. Not to get, and these
Not
are some
for
of the ones
course
coming out of,
requirements.
MBA programs and some very high up educational things, and you say to them, what's your volunteering? I said, go back as far as you can, go to high school.
The Narcissist Club.
Exactly. And we do that very carefully. We ask them for their volunteer experience on the back of the application. And it's interesting, some of the brightest bulbs have not 1 minute of volunteering anything that they haven't been paid for, so.
It's such a net to gather wider
Yeah,
information
yeah,
about
we do it.
besides the bookish stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then, I had a gentleman come in the other day who has actually been in prison for 13 years on a felony. He didn't tell me what. But while he was there, he studied and read and studied and read, and now he works at North Point with people coming out of prison, getting them back into society without getting them back into the gangs that they got in trouble with. He's already doing the field. He got his BA in prison, got married when he came out. Nice guy. But, I said to him, you better check with the boards first. I don't know how they're going to feel about you having a felony before we let you come in and do your work. I don't know the rules about that. But, there's also the people who've made a huge life change who need that second chance, and where are they going to get it? So, yeah.
To move this then to the fostering these attitudes and skills in students as they move through the program, I think this is also a way to put a diversity lens on this list of volunteering and jobs and such, and to say, it's almost like, so what contact have you had with people different than yourself? And in some schools, we're brainstorming, so we shouldn't even elaborate this, but in some schools, you must have a field placement in a setting other than your own background. And there's very deliberate preparation around a variety of the isms, not only race and ethnicity, but other isms. I have a great deal of concern. I'd be glad to dialogue some point about so many of our students begin internships in public agencies with people who are vastly different than themselves. And I really worry from an educational institution point of view about what have we done to prepare them for that. And I'm talking about beyond the goodwill that I'm taking for granted, that they want to help people, they want to relate to people, they want to open doors of opportunity for people. I'm taking that for granted. But to be really excellent at cross-cultural competency and to be really excellent as a practitioner, eventually it's way more than that. It's way more than that sort of goodwill. And that's the stuff that the curriculum, formal and informal, needs to just be intensified.
But you have to take it to the next level.
Yeah, to the next level.
My concerns here has always been that our clinical faculty have no idea what goes on inside an African American home or among them. There are a few, it's getting a little better, but most of them have been treating a white population since they started as therapists. And so therefore, how are they supervising a student that we're sending into a completely different situation?
I have to say, Andy, that and whether it's just me rationalizing our behavior as an institution or not, that I probably take a little different attitude about this. I don't disagree with what you're saying at all, but I have to admit, as much as this may surprise some of you, I'm comfortable with people being baptized by fire, and I'm thinking sometimes better being baptized by fire than contemplating our navel forever and ever and ever and ever as to how to get started. I do feel a responsibility to complement that with something.
That's on the point. It's about complementing the world of experience with the world of some analytical discussion. Processing.
Right. Faculty should all take your multicultural class. I took Andre's course, and you didn't mince words, and you made us watch stuff that was painful, eye-opening, and I could see the discomfort in the room. I don't say that I'm any better, but I had a little bit more experience growing up back east in New York, and lots more different friends from different backgrounds and homes that I visited. But the discomfort in the room at times was overwhelming at how badly people were reacting to some of the stuff that you showed us, that we talked about. I think it would be just that curriculum alone that the faculty could sit through it, to see the reality of it.
Here's a couple of pieces that we may be able to weave together. The faculty executive committee is, one of the goals is to have some kind of an Adlerian, not an in-service, but provide kind of like a Adlerian introductory course to all new faculty. Because we bring faculty in and we don't necessarily integrate them into the Adlerian ethos very well.
Mhm.
And diversity, your piece of your program could be a part of that thing that's required of all incoming faculty.
Yeah. Yeah, Sue used to do a 3-hour mini baptism into Adlerian years ago.
Well,
Primer, yeah.
and everybody is expected to take Roger's course. I have fallen down probably in terms of keeping track.
Of who's doing
Not
yeah.
probably, I've fallen down keeping track, and I always figured I sent something up with that, I didn't do that. So I need to catch up on that.
Yeah.
Another way to think about it, and I hope that you've shared the diversity culture of acceptance, culture with
Culture
this-
appreciation, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
appreciation with this group,
Mhm.
because I thought that, again, the document I felt was really super. But here's also another way we can also kind of think about things. One of the things that the last session that I had of my course, folks were like, first of all, this needs to be a year-long class. So, this 5-week was great, but if we could have this, for a year, that would be great. And so I got to thinking that the online piece gives us an opportunity to have some extended for things that we think are really important. We can do some extended pieces that
Excellent, yeah.
don't necessarily cost us a whole lot
Right.
or tax us in terms of logistics.
Yeah.
So there's a really cool growth edge.
Exactly.
But the same could be applied to other things like Adlerian, introduction to Adlerian concepts. That it's not just the 5 weeks that Roger does that class, but that we continue that for maybe a year for professional development of
Yeah.
new
Then
incoming staff.
along with that, there's a very valuable extra aspect of that, which is coaching for integrating that into your teaching.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm thinking about the history of what's called the Minnesota model for treatment of alcoholism. Back in the 70s and 80s, people were coming from all over the country to study what was going on here in Minneapolis because the long-term recovery rate was dramatically improved better here than it was anywhere else in the country. And when they got it all said and done, the difference was that when you finished your 30-day treatment program at St. Mary's, your insurance company had been already billed for 1 year of aftercare.
Mm.
That's what made the difference. It wasn't what they were doing in 30-day treatment that made the difference. It was the year of aftercare. It's the coaching, it's the follow-up, it's the staying engaged in the thought process
Mhm.
and reflection.
Yeah, so it's like, how does a faculty put some element or more of diversity into a course, and then have someone sit with them and watch the explanations of that, the student participation and processing, and very casual evidence about, what was the impact of that on students? That's coaching at the
Catherine and I are
Implementation.
developing the online introductory course 711, 712, and it starts in April. And we're thinking that those two courses, because they're online, they will be online, would be that introductory, so the discussion questions and the readings and all that could be easily delivered that way.
To the faculty.
Yeah, yeah.
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 But yeah.
Hybrid models are nice too, where you want to build some face-to-face trust and then go off and spread it
Yeah.
out and then come back.
I think it's interesting, lots of times you hear that there's always been some racial tension sometimes in the classroom. Some of the faculty will tell you these two people have kind of a head-to-head discussion about something. And online, you don't know who you're talking to. I wonder, how much more we could do online than you can do in the classroom, because people are at ease and you have no idea who's really speaking at that point. It might be
Yeah.
kind of an interesting
Well, the other
experiment.
Ray's gonna give you the certificates for signature that we passed along to Jer for
Okay.
the workshop.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
My take on most of those disputes
Mhm.
is great.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Sometimes have seen that, I haven't seen for a long time, but
Mhm.
sometimes I've seen that as worth touching and intervening on, but
Right.
most times it's like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
The weekend didactic that I do sometimes will have some real intense animosity that will emerge, and usually it's because somebody is, not participating, and the rest of the students will get frustrated and anxious. And I always see those as teaching opportunities. I mean,
Right.
it just, I don't say, oh, that was a rough one, but, oh, that was, great, because we had this opportunity to
Yeah.
demonstrate confrontation in a respectful way.
Well, that's wisdom, that's classroom experience, I mean, but those are things from that.
Yeah.
I've always said to Andre, just facilitate messy conversation.
Yeah.
Let's get their wheels turning. And they don't have to turn in the same directions or in any way, shape, or form the same ways. But,
Annie, you're talking about ongoing coaching and so forth, and you're talking about that year-long class. The first book I wrote was for parents in recovery, and it was a book of daily meditations. And the reason that I wrote it as a book of daily meditations is exactly what we're talking about. That you stay with a philosophy for a year. How many times have we read a good self-help book and said, that's excellent, put it down, and a month later can't really remember too much of what was in there?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about writing a book of daily meditations for Adlerians, using all the Adlerian material in a daily reflection.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know?
okay.
That would be
Put your
good.
finger on something rich.
Yeah, when I wrote that first book, I went to the bookstore and, looked at every daily meditation book there was out there, and there was a lot there, but there's probably even more now. But I don't know that there's one that would be a book of daily meditations from the
Wonderful idea.
philosophy of Alphabet.
It works. When I
That'd be
was 40, 7 of the gals in my aerobics class and myself, we all quit smoking together. We were out doing aerobics, smoking like fiends. And we was teaching at the Lafayette Club at the time, and we all went downstairs into the coffee shop and had a cup of coffee and threw our cigarettes into the fireplace. And for 1 year, we faithfully met at somebody's house as many afternoons a week as we could and put all our cigarette money in a bucket. And we just kept putting it there. And the 7 of us went to Cancun for 2 weeks at the end of the year. But
what a nice story!
and nobody smoked afterwards. I mean, we all made it, but that was that
Yeah.
support and the coaching. And
Yeah.
even if somebody couldn't make it, we'd call and say, "You doing all right?" We just kept it up solidly for a year. And
We
got
know this
through.
about human learning.
Yeah.
We know this about therapy.
Yeah, and we paid our entire trip. It was really fun.
Everybody did
Wow.
something.
Yep, all of us.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And the best part of the whole story was the hotel in Cancun when we first got there and we walked in. I don't know.
All
I know
laughing,
people-
probably.
Well, yeah, we figured we're in Mexico, whoopee whoopee, and the kid behind the bar is from Minnesota, working a summer job.
Say, guys, I'm aware that the time is going by. I'm gonna just suggest a couple of follow-up things. I'm sort of persuaded in thinking that there's probably something I'm overdue in sharing with faculty, and that's a little bit more the background music that Tom, you mentioned. It's not a well-known story.
Yeah.
I think I actually have some notes in my briefcase that I've been carrying around for a few months. Ever since that faculty meeting that we had at the wildfire, when there was a vow
Rich
taken, we're gonna talk
discussion that
about
night,
some student concerns, and I wanted to frame my perspective on some things so people kind of knew what a baseline was, at least from an administrative point of view. And I think it's high time that I do something like that and explain, here's the stuff that's going on behind the scenes that you don't know about that's meant to facilitate the values that we espouse as an organization. I also want to get together as homework with Andre and catch up on all the stuff you're doing on the diversity front, because I want to make sure that I support that and any new needs or new directions that you're proceeding. I also think it's over that you and I get together, because you have, I know, from almost a curriculum point of view, a lot of ideas that could represent action steps.
Yeah.
And those are just a few things that I think I could do as homework between sessions here. Not to say that you guys don't have some things you would like me to do or to contribute yourselves. I didn't mention either of you, but I talked to you guys more, so.
I think too, when you send a message out to the faculty, the biggest thing that I learned in doing admissions for so many years is people come here not just for an education. We get a lot of people who come here because they're a little bit needy and they need community, they need family to get educated. You know, they're not just ready for that MBA and I'm going to go out and be the big businessman. A lot of people come here after their own personal struggles, wanting to give back to the world because therapy helped them or somebody helped them along the way. And they see this as a nurturing place where they can develop the skills to give back. So the population is different than somebody going to the U for, you know, some other kind of program. I'm going to be a chemist. It's just a different profession and it's a different group of people and it's a different personality that walks
And a
in
different
here.
school.
And a different school. And we need to be proud of that. Very proud of it.
Yeah, you're going back to what's distinctive.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
That's a distinctive piece.
It is.
And Marina and I are making a presentation to the Minnesota Psychological Association on online learning and game theory. And just the research I've been doing on learning and what's required, community is terribly significant in terms of education, that you are with a community that you interact with, collaboration as a learning rubric. And yeah, so the fact that they're coming here because they anticipate some sense of community is, well, the research says that your success in a graduate school program of getting your degree and not dropping out is mostly about whether you ever have a feeling of belonging with your colleagues.
Yeah.
It's not about instructors or finances. The most telling thing is your sense of belonging. And not just that you're in a program, but that you feel that you're a part of something.
Yeah, rich experiences that way.
Yeah,
and if you come
and
in.
you get support when you're discouraged. I mean, I think that's probably, well, that's your story. You get support when you're discouraged.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, one of the biggest things that, you know, I'd asked people like John a long time ago to consider, you know, this sort of intro to graduate school thing. And I know you two have been intimately involved in that. And wow, has that been a source of belonging for people?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
I
wonderful.
remember one guy, you know, at the end of the day, just thrilled. He said, I don't have these kinds of conversations with anybody in my world.
Yeah.
You know, I found my tribe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Amazing.
Well,
Wow,
I don't know.
it's been very interesting.
I'm going to write this up. I'm going to take on this homework. And boy, I tell you what, it is an open invitation as to what else we can do between sessions. And also,
Do you want to leave that open-ended, or do you want people to say things like, I promise to communicate about my thoughts on this, for example?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would like this to be a pretty dynamic process that doesn't confine itself to this 1 hour every month or so. Because we got so much work to do and it just needed to be fleshed out. So.
When I do that, part of this will be with little questions. It won't be just like, I've wordsmithed this and it's perfect. That's not at all my attitude. But it will be with questions. So I'm really going to invite people to say, oh, here's what I thought. Think about that question.
Yeah.
And there's probably a couple things that you and I could get together and talk about, including this and speakers and that. So if we could schedule a meeting,
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
So I'll play matchmaker on the next meeting in Marco too, but since there's a couple people who are pretty stalwart who's not here, Marina and Helen thinking about,
Right.
I'll do that electronically. So. All right.
Just before you leave to talk to Dan, Kinte Circle invited us to come to their open house, which we did. And a whole bunch of students went. Herb went, met all the folks there. And I don't know if you know Angelique Montgomery. She's absolutely stunning, brilliant young woman. And so she went for an interview and they took her in. And then I got a call the next day. And they said, how far through her program is she? And I said, halfway. And then she had a family systems class. I said, yes, that's her next course. Well, we have to tell her no. And I said, why? And they said, because she's not done with her program. And I said, well, we do it differently here. We feel our people are prepared to go learn. That's what they're learning, they're training. And she really just stonewalled me. I don't know who the woman was. And I said, would you come, please, and bring Larry and sit through an internship class. See what goes on here. Angelique's ready to work with these families. You know, and besides the fact that what she does for a living is she counsels families who are organ donating after their children die. She's already had how many years of, my goodness, that's what
Pretty
she,
intense stuff.
yeah, you know, but they flat out turned her down because I think they're used to working with Argosy, who won't let people start till the end of the program. But I wondered if you would see if you could invite Larry and
Yeah.
see if you can convince him and whoever the gal is who did Debbie, I think was her name, just to see if they'll sit through, you know, a 597 class and just hear what goes on here, and maybe they'll open their doors to us. It's a wonderful place. But
Yeah,
they seem
yeah.
very frightened
I
that,
liked the write-up a lot, I couldn't go, but it
yeah,
was just, it
but, you
looked
know,
so
the minute they
interesting.
heard that, you know, she was halfway through a program and, you know, hadn't finished it, they turned her down.
The two founders of Kente Circle were on the board with me, so I
Mhm.
know both of those guys.
Yeah.
And, you know, they do great work.
I know, and we'd love to get in there, but we were just sort of stonewalled
Yeah.
because of that, and
And I'm sure it's
Love it.
just, I mean, she was just saying this is our policy.
right, right,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
the discretion.
Yeah, so, you know, if we could get a foot in the door a little bit, just to show them what we do.
Andre, before we go, could we schedule time for breakfast or something?
Yep.
Couple of that work, and then we can
And
discuss.
with Dan, are you gonna see Dan and talk to him? Are you in touch with him? You haven't been.
I haven't been, no.
Really?
I
Okay,
gave him,
I'll make you
yeah, I've just been waiting to hear back from
Yeah.
either you or him about what the next steps
And he
are.
gave me all his paperwork, and then I never heard from him.
Yeah,
So
I
we need
haven't.
to just, the three of us, sit down and find out what we can do.
This is a reminder of the
Okay.
fact that as you go for this time.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I'll call Dan
Okay.
and then let you know.
Yeah, good.
Okay, and I had to laugh at your email, cause Andre sends me an email with an email address that I had never seen before, right? He says, do I have any classes this spring? And I'm like,
I just have a whole bunch of email addresses.
who the heck
Yeah,
are
I
you?
do.
And I thought it was a student, and I'm thinking, what can I possibly say back?
Yeah, I
And then I
apologize
just
for that.
finally wrote back, who are you?
It's like when people text and they're like, who's texting me?
Yeah.
That happens with my son, yeah.
Yeah, who are you? I know, it just made
And
me
the
laugh.
other day, I got, you know, your automatic email, of course, you
Yeah.
know, then 5 minutes later, or whatever it was, you know, they were both in my email at the same time.
Oh,
That's funny.
March 26th,
Can we chat
can you
sometime?
do
Yeah,
grad
definitely.
school 101?
So what
This is
is
me.
it?
Sure.
Okay, and I don't know if John wants in, so if it's you and I,
I'm a student here who's
would we
1
wanna
inch
get
past halfway.
a student
Okay.
in?
Is
Do
it
you
third
wanna
career?
include one of the other didactic
Moved back to
people? Who
Minnesota.
should- I'll call
had
John, but you know, he
30
really would
plus
like us
year
to
in
move
education,
out
education
away
reform.
from him a
Oh,
little
sweet.
bit.
So I
Yeah.
was a teacher education
Um,
prof at Michigan State University.
Think
Oh.
about it,
Did a
as
lot of
long as you're
diversity stuff with
confirmed, then we
teachers
can
in
plan it a
schools.
little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of brain stuff,
See how you wanna do it,
teacher leadership stuff, school reform stuff.
you know, let
So,
me know. And I'll give
I've
John a
done
call.
things with teachers,
Okay.
like write
Yeah, I'll let you know what his
cross-cultural
plans are.
I
standards for
think
kids,
that's
the kid learning.
26 is.
And then
Okay.
embed them
all,
in the regular
Yeah, just let me
it's
know.
not
core
all-
curriculum for kids.
Okay,
Lots of professional development for
All right.
teachers. So I'm kind of mucking around here with different things, often as a student rep or sometimes by virtue of just having special expertise, so.
Yeah, I would love to
Yeah.
chat with you. So I'll send you an email and then we
Okay,
can.
then we can mesh
definitely-
going.
Yeah.
Good. I
Great.
love that.
Thank you.
Nice send off a letter to Judith.
Thank you.
Email.
I'm gonna send off to her today too. I'm very
Oh,
excited,
That might be a
very excited
breakfast
about what that
one,
looks like.
Yeah,
Let me look at.
And where it would be convenient.
yeah, I think that would be a nice fit.
No,
Well,
well, I love that you wrote back, so thank you.
So
Do
I
we-
have.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
Do this first.
You Tom, thanks.
You bet.
So, for the most part, we're looking at today's the 18th. Can we look at the 25th?
Sure.
Is that too far?
No, that's good.
Okay. And-
Where would you like to meet?
It is. Doesn't matter. We've met at the Denny's over here. Does
Well,
that make sense?
I never know if that's convenient for you though, I mean.
I'm north of Minneapolis. I'm in Anoka, so
Oh,
it,
where do you start from?
Mounds View, so same thing. So it's
So you're coming all the way down and have to go all the way back.
yeah.
Okay, there's something about it.
there's a Denny's
So-
on 394 at about 100.
Well, I mean, I can I could go up,
Anywhere on 100?
oh, sure.
What?
I could go, anywhere, north of 394 on 102, if there's something up around Brooklyn Boulevard, I don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's look over there. What's over Brooklyn Boulevard?
I know there's gotta be like a Denny's or a Perkins.
Okay. Well, let's just investigate. Let's say,
Okay.
Type in Perkins.
Say,
Yeah.
what time on,
does 8 o'clock work for you?
it does, yeah, 8 o'clock is fine.
Earlier?
No,
Okay.
actually, it's just I try to give my son a ride to school just to kinda catch
Oh.
up with him, but that's
No, no, no,
fine.
no, no, no,
8
that's
o'clock
more,
is fine.
that's more important than.
Well, probably 8:30 would be better
Okay,
then.
8:30 then. Yeah, kid stuff is way more important than anything else we could be doing.
8:30 with, Andre,
Okay.
and then I'll just look under Perkins
Or Denny's or
Denny's
whatever.
and shoot something out to you by email, okay?
Okay.
Because I wanna hear what you're doing. Would it be intrusive if I sit in and the three of us are interacting? I understand we have separate business, but I wanna hear more about what
I
you're
wouldn't have
doing.
any problem with
I
that.
wouldn't have a problem.
Okay.
What I wanna catch up with Andre on is the stuff he's doing on Saturdays
Yeah.
and how that's going and how we can support that, or if there's a new direction he wants to take. And then I also wanted to talk about, a particular program that Andre's, introduced me to as something, we're kind of in the mood right now to be looking at prospective programming. Andre had a human rights idea,
Okay.
for some curriculum.
Yeah.
Was
If you
there
wouldn't
any- was
mind,
there
I would
anything else?
just find that interesting
no,
and
that'd
it'd
be
be
great.
convenient instead
Yeah.
of.
Was there anything else?
Nope. I think, I've been looking for best practices, and I haven't been able to find any around the diversity and human rights stuff, which I think is exciting because we can make the best practices. We get to be the thought leaders on those types of things, as opposed to responding.
Yeah, well, Hal Pickett has, said something like that. Hal Pickett teaches at 3 or 4 different institutions. He said, you guys can lead the way. And I've always been a little, shy about taking on what I thought might be kind of a grandiose, intention, but the fact is he perceives that we're setting a foundation here that can be different, so that's, but yeah, I'll send something out to you then too,
Good.
Annie, about a
I
specific
would enjoy
place.
that.
But I don't know where you are coming from either, but I
I'm-
just know that Andres doesn't need to come all the way down here
Yeah,
and go all
no,
the
we
way back,
wanna-
cause I'm at roughly 394 and 494, so I mean, I can go a little northeast.
Okay.
I go to church up in that area,
Okay.
in Robbinsdale, so I can go, that's just a real easy.
Okay.
Good.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, and then
Yeah, when can we?
can you and I set up time, 'cause I think we have another
We have other
another
stuff,
fish
yeah,
to
and
fry
I have
here.
some stuff to hand you here.
So I would imagine, you just tell me when you're around and I'll work something out.
How would, Monday, the 21st be?
The 21st?
Yeah, I'll be coming into class for.
That's
Thursday.
actually a problem, cause I'm
Oh.
taking my family up to Duluth for the weekend to see
Oh,
our granddaughter
That
and,
sounds wonderful. How about,
and I'm taking that day off, so.
Wednesday afternoon or Thursday?
Thursday is wide open, Wednesday
Okay.
afternoon's kinda tight.
Okay, let's do Thursday afternoon then.
Okay,
What time?
1 o'clock?
Sure.
Okay.
Great.
Good. Very good. All right, guys, I gotta rush to something else, but thank you so much for being here, and, I'm just, honestly, I'm more, stimulated by this committee than I am just about anything else,
Oh.
that we're doing here, and I wish we had more time, so that's why I'm trying to extend our reach a little bit by meeting with some folks.
Yeah, and doing electronic stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. So Annie, I
Do
am.
you have a card that? would
No,
be-
I actually
Oh,
don't.
okay. Well, just shoot me an email and then I'll know.
Yeah, cause I would be interested, there are a couple of projects that I'm working on in terms of, I'm trying to do some book writing, and, it would be cool to have a collaborator or some other folks
Cool.
think about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
And also when you're talking about models, there is stuff done for educators
Okay,
that can be adopted, the human service to adopt it to counseling.
okay, cool, so that'll be super.
Great. I'm glad to finally meet you.
Yeah, I'm glad to meet you as well.